And this mainly deals with polynomials. All right, so the first thing, what is a polynomial? So y'all, for us, a polynomial is a mathematical expression that contains one or more terms. Now, what is a term? So a term are separated by addition and subtraction. So that means each term will consist of a coefficient, the variable, and an exponent. All right, so we're going to be concerned with what we call the leading term. So when they ask for the leading term of a polynomial, that's going to be the term that has the highest exponent. So we're looking at exponents when we're looking at our leading term. What's the biggest exponent? Okay. Now another name for the highest exponent we call the degree, which means the degree will be determined by our leading term, because y'all, the degree is equal to the highest exponent. Okay. And we'll look at the degree more when we get into the 8.1 and 8.2 college algebra, what it sort of determines for us. But right now, we just want to learn some of these words. So the term, they're going to be separated by adding and subtracting. Our leading term will be the term that has the highest exponent. And the highest exponent also gives us the degree. Now, within the leading term, we'll get the leading coefficient also. And the leading coefficient is the number in front of the leading term. Now remember this, if it does not have a number in front of that variable, then the leading term is a 1. So anytime there's not a number there, we gotta treat it like a 1, okay? So these are some definitions we're going to look at on the parts of the polynomial. Now, we're going to look at a chart that shows us how we make the names of these polynomials. And what we look at on that is the degree. So we're going to make a little chart. First column will be the degree. Then we'll have the name of that polynomial. And then we'll give an example. So remember, the degree is going to be equal to the highest exponent of it, okay? So the first degree we can have is a 0 degree. This we call a constant. So a 0 degree, if you was to graph it, would go straight across like those constant intervals. And an example would be f of x equals 5. It's just a number. Now, y'all listen. Technically, there is a variable here. This would be like 5x to the 0. But the reason we don't have to write the x to the 0 part is because anything raised to the 0 exponent equals 1. So this would be like 5 times 1, which is only going to give us 5. So when a degree is 0, they won't write that variable in the exponent because it equals 1 in all reality. And y'all, that's one thing you got to remember. Anything, whether it's a variable or a number that's raised to the 0 power, that equals 1. And then if there's a number in front of it, 1 times that number, like I said, just gives you that number. We got a degree 1. We call that linear. Because if it's a degree 1, it's going to make a line when we draw it, so it's linear. So an example could be f of x equals 2x minus 3. Now remember, the degree is 1 because when I don't write an exponent after that variable, we treat it like a 1. Okay? So that would be like 2x to the first minus 3. So you got a few hidden exponents on the 0 degree and the first degree, okay? All right, what's next is a degree 2. Well, we've been playing with the degree 2s. Those are quadratic, right? We've been doing the quadratic formula. And if you remember, those are in the form of f of x equals x squared minus 3x plus 4. So the highest exponent is a 2, meaning that the degree is 2. And if it's a degree 2, it is quadratic. All right, y'all, next would be a degree 3. Degree 3 we call cubic. So that means the highest exponent has to be a 3. So that could be something like x cubed minus 8. Now, y'all look here. Let me show y'all some things. Remember I said term up here are separated by adding and subtraction. So if it's constant, it's only got one term, which is the 5. If it's linear, the one I drew here, it has 2 terms being separated by subtraction. 2x is a term, 3 is a term. Quadratic, the one I drew here had 3 terms. X squared is a term, the negative 3x is a term, and then the 4 is a term. Once again, they're being separated by the adding and subtracting. All right, y'all, how about a degree 4? We call that quartic. So an example of quartic would be f of x equals 4x to the 4th minus 3x plus 2. All right, y'all, let me fix my window. All right, getting glare on my screen. All righty, y'all. So if it's constant and they're asking for the leading term, well, the 5 is the leading term. It's also the lead coefficient because 5 is the number technically in front of that x to the 0 that we're not showing yet. And then the degree, like I said, is the 0. So we're going to do examples where they ask us about the terms, such as the leading term, degree, leading coefficient, and then they'll ask us for what name is it, okay? And then that's pretty much all we're going to look at is a few examples doing this. Whoops. All righty. So they're going to say, for these examples I'm about to do, we're going to determine the leading term. The leading coefficient. The degree of the polynomial. And classify as constant, linear, quadratic, cubic, or quartic. Okay, so for number one, we're going to start with g of x equals a negative 1/3 x to the third minus 4x plus 7. All right, y'all. So first thing they want, the leading term. And you got to put the entire leading term there. So notice this one has three terms: negative 1/3 x to the third, negative 4x, and then the 7. The one that has the highest exponent is the first term here. Since 3 is higher than 1 and 0, that's my leading term. And the leading term will be the negative 1/3 x to the third. Now, pretty much everything else is going to come off of this leading term, because next they want the leading coefficient. Well, remember, the leading coefficient we said was the number in front of the leading term. So for me, the number in front of my leading term is a negative 1/3. All right, y'all, what they want next? The degree of the polynomial. Well, we said a while ago the degree of the polynomial was equal to the highest exponent of that polynomial. So let's see, the highest exponent is in the leading term because that's why we chose it. So the highest exponent in this whole polynomial is that 3 there. So now we got to classify. So the polynomial is blank. So we said a while ago if it had a degree of 3, that made it cubic. So this one would be a cubic polynomial. So y'all, that's going to be the trick on these, all right? I'm going to give y'all a polynomial here, and I'm going to see what y'all do with it. So this polynomial is going to be g of x equals negative 3x minus 5. So one of y'all tell me the leading term. Because this one's got two terms in it. So what is my leading term?
Negative 3x.
Negative 3x. So how about my leading coefficient?
-3.
-3. All right, how about the degree of that polynomial? Now remember, I said if it only had an x, what exponent is not being shown?
0. 1.
Well, not to 0, because remember, the 0 gets rid of the x and everything.
Oh, yeah.
What'd y'all just say?
1.
1. So remember, if the variable's shown and it don't have an exponent, then it's automatically a 1. And then what type of polynomial is it? So you got constant, linear, quadratic, cubic, or quartic.
Linear.
Linear, there you go. So anytime you graph a linear polynomial, it's just going to be a straight line. All right, so y'all get an idea? So we're about to try some more of these then. I think there's like 6 or 7 of these in the homework, but that's all you're doing is just answering those questions. All right, y'all, for number 3, let's see what y'all do. G of x equals -6 x to the third minus 8. So first of all, I want to know what kind of polynomial it is, because they're going out of order on this one. So the polynomial is constant, linear, what's next? Quadratic, cubic, or quartic?
Is it cubic?
It is definitely cubic. And then what is the leading term? So it looks like we got 2 terms here, the -6x to the third or that -8.
-6x to the third.
-6x to the third. All right, how about the leading coefficient?
-6.
-6. So y'all gonna get the hang of these before we're done today, right? And then what is my degree?
-6.
Oh, well, y'all just told me that was my leading coefficient.
3.
3, because remember, the degree is always equal to that exponent there. All right, y'all. So let me show y'all. I'm gonna throw y'all a curveball now, okay? So I'm gonna do a h of x equals -3x squared plus 7x to the third plus x to the fourth. So on this one, the first thing I want to know is my leading term. So what y'all think on that, and what's your leading term?
Is it x to the 4th?
I'm going with x to the fourth. Good job. So we made this one out of order for you. So remember, if they're not in order, you're still looking for that highest exponent. All right, so here's a tricky one. Leading coefficient. Well, if this is your leading term, what number's in the front?
4.
That didn't sound very confident, but one's perfect. How about the degree of the polynomial? All right. Well, so why'd y'all pick that one as a leading term?
Is it a quartet?
Oh, it is definitely quartet, but what's the degree?
I'm sorry. 4.
Yeah, there you go, because that's why you said quartet, because of that degree being a 4. And good job, because it is definitely quartic. I used to always get that one and that quadratic mixed up. So the polynomial is quartic. Good job. So y'all just remember, since I didn't have a number in there, we treated it like a 1x to the 4, okay? All right, so 2 more of these, and that'll be everything on this section. All right, ooh, they're doing a tricky one here. G of x equals -1/2 x squared minus 3x plus 9. So the first thing, leading term. So y'all figure out the leading term, and then they're going to want the leading coefficient. Then they want the degree. And then the polynomial is a blank. So let's see. What y'all think's my leading term? I got 3 terms here. -1/2 x squared, -3x, and a +9.
-1.5 x
X.
to the I can't even think.
There you go. All righty. Leading coefficient.
-1/2.
The degree of that polynomial.
2.
2. Perfect. And what's that make that one?
Quadratic.
Quadratic. And remember, y'all just did a formula for this x squared stuff, doing that quadratic formula. All right, y'all. So let's try this last one and see what we get on the end. Oh, let me let y'all catch up writing on that. So they're not too bad, and most of these are like you just fill it into the box, and then the quadratic stuff will be like pick one of those 5. All right, y'all. So let's knock out number 6. So g of x will equal -1/5 x to the 3rd minus 4x squared plus 3x plus 8. So the first thing they want to know on this one is the leading term. And y'all, I'll tell you, the reason we want to know about these degrees and stuff, because the degrees you're going to learn next week tell me how many times the graph turns, tells me how many zeros I got, and all that fun stuff. So what is the leading term?
-1/5 x
to the third.
There you go. All right, what's next? Our leading coefficient.
-1/5.
-1/5. What's next? The degree of that polynomial.
3.
Because that's my highest exponent there, 3. And the polynomial is blank.
Cubic.
There you go. So y'all, you got 6 problems in support to do tonight, and that's what you're doing right there. Picking out your leading term, leading coefficient, tell me what the degree is, and what type of polynomial it is. And like I said, I redid them due dates. Because we got spring break coming up, and I'd rather do all the college algebra fresh together. So use next week to catch up on anything you're behind on. Okay, anything you got to make up, email me if it won't let you in. But all the homework and quizzes for sure will let you redo those. And then test 2 technically is due the 17th, but if you need more time on that, let me know and I'll extend that.
I have a question real quick.
I hear you.
Okay, so I'm going to Peru for spring break. So I'm trying to get all of my homework done. And last Monday night I took review, and when I finished it, I looked at everything I did wrong, and I went back to math labs to look at my score again. And instead of my score being on the review, it was on the test. So I didn't worry about it because I was okay with my score. But then I looked at my math labs today, and it said that the review I took went back to being my review, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So far?
Okay, so yeah, they might have had a glitch. So are you needing to redo the test?
No, I was just wondering because I've kind of run out of time with homework. So I didn't take the test again because I thought I had already taken it. You know what I mean?
Okay, is this Molly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me do some investigating, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. I'll investigate and see what's up with that. Cause
Yeah.
yeah,
I was just
those
wondering.
tests, those tests are 50%, so I'll go fix that.
Yeah, and I was just wondering if, because I did think that was my test score, and I'm fine with that being my test score, but I've kind of run out of time to do homework.
Right.
Because I've been doing it this whole week to get it done.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering if that could go
Also, you
back to
don't,
being my
so
test
you
score.
know they got internet in Florida, so you can sit on the beach and laptop it.
I'll be in Peru.
No, I'll look at that, Molly, and I'll get that fixed.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Anyone else got any concerns or anything?